Come on, let's go settle in. They headed back to the motorcycle, and she took the saddlebag containing the camping gear off and slung it over her shoulder. Inside the tavern, she used force magic to create invisible hands that moved furniture out of the way to clear a spot in the center of the room. More application of the magic generated a breeze that sent the dust and dirt out the door. The compact tent went up easily, and she stored the bedding and pillows inside. Then they headed back out front and scavenged the nearby area for fuel for a fire. She carefully stacked it in the middle of the street, where the flames wouldn't endanger the wooden buildings, then pointed her wand at it and spoke a word of power. A gout of flame discharged. Runeclaw offered helpful suggestions as she set up the collapsible metal rack they used for cooking food and opened their small cooler to pull out the fish they'd bought earlier that morning. While the salmon cooked, she chewed on a piece of bread and handed off pieces to Runeclaw, who gobbled them down. Odd sounds that still weren't familiar, despite the time she'd spent on Earth, filled the night air. Her companion observed, "It's both too quiet and not quiet enough." She nodded. "I was thinking something similar." Runeclaw flicked his tail. "Great. Now I'm thinking at your level. I'm going to be permanently damaged by knowing you." She threw a piece of bread at him, but he batted it out of the air before it struck. "At least your being a jerk skills haven't atrophied," he laughed. "Those are a fundamental part of my nature. I'm a cat." "You're a goofball." When the salmon had finished cooking, they ate it in contented silence. Then Scarlett cleaned up and headed into the tavern. She placed a force shield over the door and the windows to provide some insulation from the night air, then partitioned off a piece of her mind to maintain them while she slept. It was a skill she'd learned growing up with siblings who liked to play pranks in the middle of the night. After the first few times they doused her with cold water to wake her up, she'd learned to protect herself. Scarlett slipped into her sleeping bag, and Runeclaw cuddled up beside her under his little nest of blankets. She murmured, "This is okay. At least we weren't attacked by a blind drake at this kitschy stop." She chuckled at the memory of their experience at Hole in the Rock, which hadn't gone as planned. "Well, since there don't seem to be any ghosts here, I guess this place will be far less eventful." He groaned. "You can't say things like that. You've cursed us. Let's get some rest before whatever bad mojo you summoned comes to get us. It'll probably be a dinosaur or something." Scarlett closed her eyes as he continued muttering dire, "Come on, let's go settle in." They headed back to the motorcycle, and she took the saddlebag containing the camping gear off and slung it over her